Paloma Parva continued. Sati said. And Ruru on hearing those words replied, My wife dear to me as life was bit by a snake, upon which I took snake, a dreadful vow, viz. That I would kill every snake that I might come across. Therefore shall I smite thee and thou shalt be deprived of life. And the Dandapha replied, O Brahmana, the snakes that bite man are quite different in type. It behoveth thee not to slay Dandabas who are serpents only in name, subject like other serpents to the same calamities but not sharing their good fortune, in woe the same but in joy different. The Dandabas should not be slain by thee under any misconception. Sati continued. And the Rishi Ruru hearing these words of the serpent, and seeing that it was bewildered with fear, albeit a snake of the Dandabha species, killed it not. And Ruru, the possessor of the 6 attributes, comforting the snake addressed it, saying, Tell me fully, O snake, who art thou thus metamorphosed? And the Dandabha replied, O Ruru, I was formerly a rishi, by name Sahasrapat, and it is by the curse of a Brahmana that I have been transformed into a snake. And Ruru asked, O thou, best of snakes, for what wast thou cursed by a Brahmana in wrath? And how long also will thy form continue so? And so ends the 10th section of the Paloma Parva of the Adi Parva. Paloma Parva continued. Sati continued. The Dandapha then said, In former times I had a friend Kagama by name. He was impetuous in his speech, and possessed of spiritual power by virtue of his austerities. And one day when he was engaged in the Agnihotra fire sacrifice, I made a mock snake of blades of grass, and in a frolic attempted to frighten him with it. And anon he fell into a swoon. On recovering his senses, that truth-telling and vow-observing ascetic, burning with wrath, exclaimed, Since thou hast made a powerless mock snake to frighten me, thou shalt be turned even into a venomless serpent thyself by my curse. Ascetic, I well knew the power of his penances. Therefore with an agitated heart, I addressed him thus, bending low with joined hands. Friend, I did this by way of a joke to excite thy laughter. It behoveth thee to forgive me and revoke thy curse. Seeing me sorely troubled, the ascetic was moved, and he replied, breathing hot and hard, What I have said must come to pass. Listen to what I say and lay it to thy heart. O pious one, when Ruru the pure son of Pramati will appear, thou shalt be delivered from the curse the moment thou sayest him. Thou art the very Ruru and the son of Pramati. On regaining my native form, I will tell thee something for thy good. And that illustrious man and the best of Brahmanas then left his snake body, and attained his own form and original brightness. He then addressed the following words to Ruru of incomparable power. O thou first of created beings, verily the highest virtue of man is sparing the life of others. Therefore a Brahmana should never take the life of any creature. Brahmana should ever be mild. This is the most sacred injunction of the Vedas. A Brahmana should be versed in the Vedas and Vedangas, and should inspire all creatures with belief in God. He should be benevolent to all creatures, truthful and forgiving, even as it is his paramount duty to retain the Vedas in his memory. The duties of the Kshatriya are not thine. To be stern, to wield the scepter, and to rule the subjects properly are the duties of the Kshatriya. Listen, O Ruru, to the account of the destruction of snakes at the sacrifice of Janamejaya in days of yore, and the deliverance of the terrified reptiles by that best of Dvijas, Astika, profound in Vedic lore and might in spiritual energy. And so ends the 11th section of the Paloma Parva of the Adi Parva. Paloma Parva continued. Sati continued. Ruru then asked, O best of Dvijas, why was King Janamejaya bent upon destroying the serpents, and why? And how were they saved by the wise Astika? I am anxious to hear all this in detail. The Rishi replied, O Ruru, the important history of Astika you will learn from the lips of Brahmanas. Saying this he vanished. Sati continued. Ruru ran about in search of the missing rishi, and having failed to find him in all the woods, fell down on the ground fatigued, and revolving in his mind the words of the rishi. He was greatly confounded and seemed to be deprived of his senses. Regaining consciousness, he came home and asked his father to relate the history in question. Thus asked, his father related all about the story. So ends the 12th section in the Bhishma Parva of the Adi Parva. Astika Parva. Saunaka said, "For what reason did that tiger among kings, the royal Janamejaya, determine to take the lives of the snakes by means of a sacrifice? O Sati, tell us in full the true story. Tell us also why Astika, that best of regenerate ones, that foremost of ascetics, rescued the snakes from the blazing fire. Whose son was that monarch who celebrated the snake sacrifice? And whose son also was that best of regenerate ones?" Sati said, "O best of speakers, this story of Astika is long. I will duly relate it in full. O listen." Saunaka said, "I am desirous of hearing at length the charming story of that rishi, that illustrious Brahmana named Astika." Sati said, "This history, first recited by Krishnadvapayana, is called a Purana by the Brahmanas. It was formerly narrated by my wise father, Lomaharshana, the disciple of Vyasa, before the dwellers of the Naimisha forest, at their request. I was present at the recital, and O Saunaka, since thou askest me, I shall narrate the history of Astika exactly as I heard it. Listen, as I recite in full that sin-destroying story. The father of Astika was powerful like Prajapati. He was a brahmacharan, always engaged in austere devotions. He sparingly was a great ascetic, and had his lust under complete control. And he was known by the name of Jaratkaru, a foremost one among the Yajavaras, virtuous and of rigid vows, highly blessed and endued with great ascetic power, once undertook a journey over the world. He visited diverse places, bathed in diverse sacred waters, and rested where night overtook. Endued with great energy, he practiced religious austerities, hard to be practiced by men of unrestrained souls. The sage lived upon air only, and renounced sleep forever. Thus going about like a blazing fire, one day he happened to see his ancestors hanging heads down in a great hole, their feet pointing upwards. On seeing them, Jaratkaru addressed them, saying, "Who are you thus hanging heads down in this hole by a rope of Varana fibers that is again secretly eaten into on all sides by a rat living here?" The ancestors said, "We are rishis of rigid vows called Yajavaras. We are sinking low into the earth for want of offspring. We have a son named Jaratkaru. Woe to us! That wretch hath entered upon a life of austerities only. The fool doth not think of raising offspring by marriage. It is for that reason, viz. the fear of extinction of our race, that we are suspended in this hole. Possessed of means, we fare like unfortunates that have none. O excellent one, who art thou that thus sorrowest as a friend on our account? We desire to learn, O Brahmana, who thou art that standest by us, and why, O best of men, thou sorrowest for us, that are so unfortunate." Jaratkaru said, "Ye are even my sires and grandsires. I am that Jaratkaru. Oh, tell me how I may serve you." The fathers then answered, "Try thy best, O child, to beget a son to extend our line. Thou wilt then, O excellent one, have done a meritorious art for both thyself and us. Not by the fruits of virtue, not by ascetic penances well hoarded up, acquireth the merit which one doth by becoming a father. Therefore, O child, by our command, set thy heart upon marriage and offspring. Even this is our highest good." Jaratkaru replied, "I shall not marry for my sake, nor shall I earn wealth for enjoyment, but I shall do so for your welfare only. According to this understanding, I shall, agreeably to the sastric ordinance, take a wife for attaining the end. I shall not act otherwise. If a bride may be had of the same name with me, whose friends would, besides, willingly give her to me as a gift in charity, I shall wed her duly. But who will give his daughter to a poor man like me for wife? I shall, however, accept any daughter given to me as alms. I shall endeavor, ye sires, even thus to wed a girl. Having given my word, I will not act otherwise. Upon her I will raise offspring for your redemption, so that, ye fathers, ye may attain to eternal regions of bliss and may rejoice as ye like. So ends the 13th section in the Hastinapura Parva of the Adi Parva.